Hello all, today is your lecture 5 on the topic planning process. So the subtopic which we are going to see today is emerging concepts of cities. For this particular subtopic, you should have a pre-knowledge about the concepts, theories and principles which has been followed in developing cities in the earlier period. So after which you will be coming to know about the concepts of cities which are being emerged currently in the current trend. So the concepts which has been prevailing earlier that you're going to read or you're going to listen in a separate lecture. So this particular lecture is useful for the students who are willing to become town planners by taking your town planning subject in your masters. Questions from this particular topic has come in GATE exam 2022. And you can also expect questions from this topic in your upcoming every exam question paper because in GATE 2021 planning has been added as a separate optional subject. To first get into the topic, let us understand what is a city. So, city generally means an inhabited place by a larger set of people, a population. Now, what is a town or what is a village? How do you differentiate between a city, town and village? To know about these three, first, these three are generally separated by the size of the locality and by the size of the population present over there. To give you little more definition on that, we'll see the differences over here. See, for a village, it is generally smaller in size, and for the town, it is large but not as large as a city. The city are the largest among the area. Population. The population of a village is less populated, and when compared to the town it is more populated, and the city are the highly populated. The structure. The social structure is generally traditional, whereas for the town it is a combination of traditional and modern social structure. The social structure is modern and innovative for the city. Change. Here you can also write it as development. The change also means development over here. The change occurs at a very slow pace and is almost negligible. The change occurs at a medium pace. The speed of the development in a city is very fast. This should give you an idea about the city. Now, what are the emerging different concepts of cities which we are going to see in this particular lecture are eco-city, smart city, transit-oriented development, special economic zone, and the coastal regulation zones. Let us begin the class with eco-city. So what do you mean by eco-city? Eco means environmental friendly. Also, if you are friendly to the environment, then you should create less damages to the environment, right? So these are the two qualities which has to be possessed to be a eco-city. Now what is the definition of eco-city? A human settlement which provides its residents with a good quality of life. Using minimal natural sources. This is the definition for eco-city. Now what are the roots of this eco-city? When did it start emerging? We'll see that. In 1970, or you can write it as, there was a foundation called Kosanthi Foundation. What did they do is, in 1970, a person from that called Carlos Soleri, he did an experimental town on this eco-city only. First initiated an experimental town on this eco-city, which is termed as Arcosanti in Phoenix, Arizona. So this was the roots. Initially, it started in 1970 by this person Paolo Seri. So they started with an experimental town during the period of 1970, which is termed as Arcosanti, Santi, Arcosanti. Okay. After that, in 1987, a person called Richard Register gave this whole emerging this concept a term called eco city. He is the person to first coin the term eco city. So now you understood about eco city. Now is your city, you all are from different cities, is your city an eco city? How will you identify that? So there are certain set of factors which has to be possessed by the city. If those factors are possessed by the city, then that city is termed as eco city. We'll see about the factors which are required for a city to become an eco city. So this is an assessment sheet performed for any city to be certified as an eco city. So this assessment is based on their urban design factors, whichever is present, are their immediate requirements in a walkable distance, then the biophysical features, which means what is the quality of air, water, or are they using renewable energy sources, such. Okay, this you can just have an idea by giving it a read. If you're even if it is not visible for you, we are going to see in the next slide. So I will tell you 18 points which an ecocity has to satisfy. Access by proximity means your immediate needs or your basic needs should be in an accessible proximity by a walkable distance at least. Safe and affordable housing. The housing whichever over there it should be safe and it has to be at an affordable cost. Green building. All the buildings should be certified with a green building certificate. Healthy soil. The soil should be fertile. Responsible resources and materials. The materials whichever used should be recyclable. Clean and renewable energy. The energy used should be renewable energy. Healthy and equitable economy. See, the sources of economy should not harm the person and as well as the environment. Can you guess of any job or any work which will not harm you and also the environment, and also should benefit the environment as well? What kind of job will benefit you and the environment? Think about it. I would say any job which your grandparents have done. So next is lifelong education. The city should provide them with lifelong education and quality of life. The residents should have a highest satisfaction over the quality of life which they are living over there. Environmentally friendly transport, non-motorized transport usage, which is cycles, walking, clean air, clean and safe water, means less of pollution, less polluted. Healthy and accessible food, organic and nutritious food without pesticides. Healthy culture, reinforcing their cultural activities. Community capacity governance, involving the community in decision making skills. Healthy biodiversity, the species whichever are present over there are to be sustained. Earth's carrying capacity. The resources of the earth should not be used and should be maintained. Those are non-renewable resources. Biological integrity, providing the necessary required for the other species as well, like the deer park or bird sanctuary, etc. So let us understand about smart city now. What is smart city? Smart city means a municipality which uses information and communication technologies. Using this, it provides the citizens with citizen welfare, improves economic growth. This is used to share any important information with the public. It improves the quality of government services. So these are the factors, or these are the useful things about a smart city. Let us understand the few other principles which are being performed in the smart city. Smart city committed to by means of principles is it is committed to improve the economy, living, the lifestyle, mobility, the governance, environment, and people welfare. Okay, the subcategories which they are committed to improve will be listed down over here. So just have a reading of those in, in the specific sectors which they are intended to improve. So next is your transit-oriented development, which is generally termed as TOD. So transit over here means what? Commuting from one place to another. Not communicating, commuting from one to another. So this transit-oriented development facilitates the residents to commute from one place to another at ease of access. So let us see the definition of transit-oriented development. Any development, macro or micro, that is focused around a transit node, facilitating ease of access, thereby inducing people to walk. And also to use public transportation over personal transport modes. See, one thing, the reason why I write few definitions are, while I write, you also will be writing, which will be a practice for you, which will help you remember. Okay, so what does the definition say? Any development, let it be a macro development or a micro development, that is focused on a transit mode where transit has to happen It will facilitate the ease of transit, facilitate the ease of accessing from one place to another. Thereby, it will induce us to use the walkways, the pedestrians to walk or use the public transport. We should not be in an urge to use our personal transport. So, why this transit-oriented development is becoming a trend? It is actually becoming a trend in many cities in USA. So we'll see why. What are the benefits it offers? See, it reduces the dependence on driving. Use of public transport gets increased. Allows residents to live, work and play in the same area where more townships are there. Reduce the area's carbon footprint or negative impact on the environment. Non-motorized vehicles are used. Provide access to better life services. Stimulate the local economy. Provide better access between urban areas and the suburban areas through the public transport. Provide access to better entertainment or recreational services. Better walkways, better pedestrian ways, and other public transport services are there, and proper access is also created. Connectivity is there. Provide access to better jobs. It all relates with the connectivity. Revitalize urban areas. The environment is also protected. So as we saw the benefits of the transit-oriented development, now we'll see the components of it. What all should be there present in a transit-oriented development. So walkable design with pedestrian walking passages should be there. Then the required public transport should be there. A public square should be there for recreational activities in front of metro stations. Metro stations should be connecting places at a shorter distance itself. People should not be required to travel for a long distance for a public transport, and in front of every public transport there should be some requirement, basic needs like pharmacy, cafe. Basic requirements should be there. You will be reading all that over here. So required pedestrian, proper channels of road networks should be there. Metro stations connecting from every place is nearest itself. People should not be required to travel for a long distance for the nearest station. Metro junctions with a square in front of them for gatherings. The basic needs should be there in their nearest community itself or in their community itself. To promote bicycling or non-motorized vehicles, then there should be parking spaces, and also like the pedestrian ways there should be a separate pathway for usage of these vehicles, less speed vehicles. So you can give a read of all these points. I have explained all of them. You can just give a reading. So next is special economic zone. From the name itself you can make it out. It is something about the economy. Also it has a different economic regulation. So I'll tell you the definition of it. The cities. These cities have special economic regulations compared to any other city in a country. Okay, so these cities are termed as special economic zones. Now we'll try to understand more about what are the features available in the special economic zones. Free trade zones, export processing zones, free zones, industrial parks or industrial estate zones, free ports, free economic zones, and urban enterprise zones. These are generally located in the borders of any country. I mean, these special economic zones are generally located in the borders of any country. So it is generally termed as SEZ. So For easier understanding, just remember these are the zones where trading, export and import takes place. Also, I'll give you an example for it. In India, the special economic zones are, see, you can see the zones, the borders of the country. So usually trading or import and export takes place at these ports only. So generally these regions are the authorized special economic zones in India. So the last type of zone which we are going to see over here will be the coastal regulation zone. So from the name itself you can identify it is related something about the coastal areas, right? Yes. So let's see the definition of it. The coastal zones or coastal areas within 500 meters from high tidal zone or high tidal line is termed as coastal regulation zone. So what happens over here is generally the development activities of these are being considered by this particular authority. Now this coastal regulation zones are of four different categories. The coastal areas, let's say, I'll try to draw India. So if this is India, then your high tidal zone is somewhere here. This high tidal zone is also towards the landward side. Okay. Okay, so your high tide line is somewhere over here. Your low tide line will be here. So from here till 500 meters, the development activities will be taken care of by this coastal regulation zones. So this coastal regulation zone is of four different categories based on the type of coastal zone it is. So we'll see what are the four different coastal zones which are present. Okay, see, the zone number one is ecologically sensitive areas. Zone number two is urban developed areas up to the shoreline of the coast. So the zone 3 is rural and urban areas which fall outside the area 1 and area 2. Now the third category is divided into two, which is densely populated areas with a population density of 2161 per square kilometer, a NDZ of 50 meters from HTL. So here NDZ means no development zone. A no development zone of 50 meters from the HTL, you know it already, it is high tide line. Okay. So also in the B part, areas with population density of below 2161 per square kilometer. So this is a population density of 2161 per square kilometer. When it is below that, and also a no development zone of 200 meters from high tide line. Here a no development zone of 50 meters from the high tide line. Okay. Your fourth category is aquatic areas up to territorial limits. So also you can see the different what all are present in the coastal districts. So mangrove forests are there, minor ports, major ports are there, fishing villages, and how much 250 million live within 50 kilometers of the coast. Sorry, it is live. Okay, so taking care and developing these particular zonal areas are done by the coastal regulation zones. We are in the conclusion of this class. So let us see few questions which you are able to recall. Try to recall about eco-city which has been taught, smart city, transit-oriented development, special economic zone and your coastal regulation zone. If you are able to recall this by thinking over it and by taking no notes, then it is well and good. Take notes and those notes will be useful for you to write the test this weekend. And yes, finally we have only around 104 subtopics to go. Thank you.